So we can all agree that Arthas did some really bad things, especially as a Lich King. However, as he was in a way possessed, was he really so evil? With the Afterlives Bastion, we know that he was taken through a backdoor, bypassing the Arbiter by Uther, and was thrown directly into the maw. However, did Arthas really deserve this horrific fate? Brought to you by Gamevo.com. Get the cheapest game time on the market, as well as other Warcraft products. Check out the link in the description below. Arthas was a paladin, the heir to the throne of Lordaeron, and the son of the king Theranos Menethil. He was a very skilled, confident, and capable young man, and you could definitely say he was a bit arrogant, but really there was nothing out of the ordinary for someone in their early 20s that also grew up as a prince. Unfortunately, he was caught into something literally no one on Azeroth was prepared for, not even the wisest of the men, let alone what was essentially still a kid. Arthas was a very capable warrior, as well as the apprentice of Uther the Lightbringer, but he never really had that depth and the wisdom of a seasoned paladin, which of course is natural as that takes a long time to develop. So as the entire Scourge invasion began, he was caught in the chaos and was just taken over by anger, pushing with sheer force and looking to end whoever caused this mess. Of course, he didn't realize that this was literally nothing for what was to come, and he couldn't see the bigger picture, which of course you can't really blame him for, because essentially no one saw what was actually coming, not even us, until the Shadowlands. It turns out there's gonna be a lot of new stuff that we didn't even know about. So, at first, Arthas fought the undead, killed Kel'Thuzad, but soon he realized that things are much worse than they actually seem. When he saw a town turn into zombies, this was a huge shock. It dawned to him that this wasn't just some localized problem of a cult, and that a small force can't just deal with this. So when he came to Stratholme, he realized what needed to be done. Now, of course, this could be a discussion in itself, but in my opinion, he would be doomed either way had he purged it or not. However, with Arthas purging the city, he seemed like a complete monster and was shunned, especially by Jin and Uther, which hurt him a lot. It is very important to remember that Arthas saw this as a sacrifice for the greater good. He didn't enjoy killing his own citizens, he didn't feel some power trip, and this took a heavy toll on him. The only big problem is that he kinda rushed this decision, which can be attributed to arrogance. Then, driven essentially insane by this atrocity he committed, he decided to go to Northrend and to end whoever caused this at any cost, sacrificing his own life if necessary. He sought Mal'Ganis, which seemed just so ridiculous from this current perspective, that he came from a position of sacrifice, looking to even end his own existence in order for the people of his kingdom to live in peace. Then, as time went on, he got properly crazy and was fixated on ending Mal'Ganis no matter what it took, even if it was the life of Muradin, the mercenaries, and his own men. Arthas even decided to take on the sword that would curse his soul, as he said he would gladly take on any curse to save his kingdom. Well, he did, and in my opinion, this is where the story of Arthas really ends, as he took Frostmourne, the weapon of the jailer. Essentially, he lost his own soul and he became the Lich King, and then he cut out his own heart and was just a medium for this mysterious new undead entity. This really wasn't Arthas anymore. Yet, even when Arthas was ultimately defeated at the Icecrown Citadel, you could still see the trace of that young boy in him. He wasn't prideful, he wasn't saying, oh, I should have done this. He just realized, damn, I really screwed up.
Father, is it over? I see only darkness before me.
Then, the vengeful split soul of Uther took him and just chucked him into the maw. By the law of the Shadowlands, he would go before the Arbiter and he would be sent into the appropriate realm based on his deeds, which means that there is a much wiser and capable machinery put in place to decide the fate of an individual. As they weren't certain he would suffer forever in the maw by the decision of the Arbiter, the Kyrians decided to take justice into their own hands. My opinion is that Arthas would never really go into the maw, as you can't really blame him for what he did. The maw was was said to be for the irredeemable souls, and the human Arthas at least was definitely not irredeemable. Sure, his actions led to him becoming a Death Knight, but all he really wanted was to save his kingdom. Ultimately, it was a noble cause. He wasn't seeking power for the sake of it. Yes, he was arrogant, yes, he was deceitful and brutal, but the core of his values was sacrifice and duty. See, for example, with Garage that went to Revendreth, he was greedy, he wanted more power, he wanted to conquer Azeroth, he wanted to subjugate others, and most importantly, he wanted to rule. Even Keltas, that had a similar story to Arthas, in the end was seeking immense power for the sake of it, but with Arthas, he wasn't really seeking to conquer the world, to expand the borders of Lordaeron, or to even expand his own influence. Sure, you could say he wanted more power with the Frostborn, but even then he wanted to do that in order to defeat the Dreadlord, who he saw as the ultimate evil, someone that forced him to kill his own people. Arthas was so driven by duty that he didn't even care for his own life, and with that, you could make an argument, a bit of a stretched argument, but still an argument that he could be redeemed to an extent and to end up in Bastion, as ultimately he served others. Although, worst case scenario, he would end up in Revendreth, and I think he would be able to redeem himself, as he really wasn't that prideful and arrogant. In the end, Arthas was manipulated by the jailer's master plan and was essentially taken hostage and forced to commit terrible atrocities, as he ultimately did. However, if we only count Arthas before Frostmourne when he was fully himself, he definitely didn't deserve his fate in the Maw. Thank you for watching. Check out the most powerful paladin by clicking on the screen, and check out Doran's Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.